Hey, what's up? This is gonna be a new series that I'm gonna do, and the theme of this series is gonna be Second Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. A new creation in Christ. That's the theme of the next couple of videos I'm going to be doing. And we are still on the journey through the Psalms. I'm going to be doing small clips and tell you my life story of how I became a Christian because I did not come from a traditional Christian background. God reached out in the middle of my chaos in life. He reached into the chaos and he called me out. He reached into the darkness and he called me out of it. Here's my story. This is part one, and I'm gonna cover like the crazy part. So, what's up in my mouth? Why do I sound the way I sound? I was born with what's called a cleft palate. A cleft palate is when your mouth is not fully developed. So with me, my my jaw was not developed all the way, and the top of my mouth had a hole in it. And so I was born pretty much without the ability to speak. The doctors told my mom on the first day of my life, your son will never speak. Just put him on disability, forget about him. There's no hope for him. The first day of my life. That's what the doctor said about me. Um, when I was 3, I don't remember, but my mom told me when I was 3, my dad pretty much went and he left for 3 days, came back. He had a perfume of other women on his clothes, and my mom said, "You need to leave." And so my dad packed up his bags and he left. I didn't see my dad until I was about 6 or 7. I was young. He came knocking at the door one day. I guess he was trying to get back with my mom, but she was already pregnant with another man's baby, my stepdad. And up to that point, I had no idea I even had a dad. I used to, when I was younger, I wondered, how come everyone else has a dad, but I don't have a dad? I guess some kids don't have dads, and some kids do have dads. That's where I came to conclusion. And one day, my brother was like, "This is your dad, Keith." And I was so excited and so happy, and I couldn't believe it. Oh, I got a dad! I can't believe I got a dad. And him and my stepdad, they got into an argument that day. And I remember they were pointing at me and they were arguing with each other. But I remember my dad, he pointed at me and said, "I'm going to come back tomorrow and we're going to spend tomorrow together." And, you know, tomorrow came and he never showed up. He never came back. I never saw him again. And I spent the rest of my life pretty much looking for my dad and praying, God, I want to find my dad. And I asked my mom all kinds of questions like, what's the names of my brothers and what's the name of my sister? Because I knew I had a brother, I knew I had a sister. And so I spent 20 years looking for him. And I ended up finding him when I was 23 after I became a United States Marine. And pretty much everything my stepdad and my mom told me about him was absolutely true. And that's pretty hard to uh to come to the realization of, to know that your dad is a worthless individual. But when I was 8 years old until I was about 11, man, I was doing crazy stuff. I was freaking smoking cigars. I I did some criminal activities, stuff that I got away with. The cops. I helped people rob a house one time when I was 8. And when they took all the items to the other guy's house, and the cops came knocking at my door asking me where all the stuff was at, and I said, "Well, the stuff is down the street at the other guy's house." And they went and got the stuff, and the guy got 1 year in the juvie or whatever. He got 1 year. And my brother was like, "I can't believe you rat that guy out. When he gets out of juvie, he's gonna come looking for you." I said, "I don't care if they come looking for me." When I was 11 years old, though, when I was 11 years old, I thought I could do anything I wanted, and I could get away with whatever I wanted. If I do something stupid, I can get away with it. So when I was 11, I set someone's shed on fire, and the neighbor, they were looking at me the whole time, setting the shed on fire, and she happened to be a retired police officer. And she called the cops, and the fire department came, and I denied everything. I said, "I did not do it." And my mom was like, "I believe my son. He did not do it." And about a week later, the cops came to my school. I was in elementary school, 5th grade. The cops came to my school. I came to the office. I sat down, and they presented to me all the evidence that we know you did this. We know you set that shed on fire. And I was like, "No, I did not. I did not do it." And they're like, "We know you did it. Your planner with your name and your address and your mom's name was in the fire. We know you did this." And I ended up getting a mugshot right there in the school. I got the documents in my closet. Got a mugshot. They walked me outside to the police car. When I got into the police car, they put handcuffs on me, and when I got down to the police station, they read me my rights. 11 years old. I was charged with a second-degree felony. A second-degree felony. I pleaded guilty. I sat down. I remember we were about to go before the judge, and I had my lawyer and my mom, and we were in this room, and my lawyer was saying, "We can fight this." And I told the lawyer, I said, "Hey, I did it. They have all the evidence against me. They have the planner and everything. Like, I'm gonna lose the case if I fight it. I'll just take whatever consequence that is gonna go with whatever they want to do. I don't want to waste nobody's time." So I pleaded guilty, and somehow, I don't know how, but the charge got dropped to a Class B misdemeanor. I guess the lawyer was arguing that the felony charge was outrageous or something. I don't know how any of that stuff worked. All I know is I got charged with a felony. It got dropped to a misdemeanor, and which is a blessing because I would have never been able to join the Marine Corps later on if I had that felony charge when I was 11 get you know stayed on my record. When I was doing all that stupid stuff growing up, smoking cigars and setting stuff on fire and robbing houses and getting in fights and going to the office and doing all that stupid stuff, I kept on meeting Christians. I kept meeting Christians. I went to church on Sunday. It was what we did. Me and my brothers, we went to church. The bus would come and pick us up. But I kept on meeting Christians at like school. My teachers were Christians. There was this one particular guy though. His name was Jake Gills, and he was a high school student that came down to the elementary school that I went to in 3rd grade, and I remember I sat down with him, and he just had this, like, personality type about him, and that he was real, like, welcoming and joyful and all this stuff, and I remember asking him, "What are you going to do after high school?" And he said, "I'm going to go be a pastor." And I asked him, I said, "Do you have to go to college for that?" And he said, "Yes, you have to go to college for that." And I had no idea what a pastor was, but I love this guy so much. I was like, I want to be just like Jake Gills, and I want to go be a pastor too. And I had no idea God was going to take that desire and keep it in my heart, because for the rest of my life, I just had this desire inside of me ever since that day to be a pastor. And I had no idea what that meant. I knew it had something to do with church, something to do with the Bible. Did not read the Bible. I went to church. I did not understand anything that the church was teaching. None of it made sense to me. It was just, church was just a thing you did on Sunday, you know? It was just a thing you did. But Christians, the Christians in my life, they shine like light in such a way that when I would look at them, they had something that I wanted. They had something that I wanted. I was thinking either it's their education or it's their way that they love. They had something I wanted that I did not have with my own family. And now I know that's Jesus, but it was always the Christians growing up that they just had something I wanted. And now I know that it's Jesus. When back to 3rd grade, I was doing illegal stuff, and there was one thing I did. I stole mail, which is a felony. I stole people's mail. And one time I stole someone's checkbook out of their mailbox, and I was writing fake checks, and I was paying for stuff at the stores and stuff. And I got caught pretty fast because I was pretty stupid. But I was 8 years old, so I didn't get charged. But I got caught. I remember a cop was talking to me when I was 11, and it's like, "You're that kid that was writing fake checks." Yeah, I was doing some stupid, crazy stuff. My life was just on it was just on that pathway to destruction from a very young age. It was just on this pathway to destruction, and the whole time that I'm walking on this pathway of destruction, I'm looking at these Christians in my life thinking, what do they have that I don't have? Because I want whatever it is that they have. I remember when I was about 8, 10, or 9, 10, 11, I used to hear voices in my head, and people don't like to admit this kind of stuff, but I used to hear all these voices in my head, and I could never make out what any of them were saying. I just could hear it was just a bunch of voices in my head, and they were just saying all kinds of stuff that I could never make out what they were saying. And now I know from reading the Bible that it was most likely demons. I was probably possessed by demons from a young age. That's why I was doing all this stupid stuff, and on my way to ruin my life. I was possessed by demons when I was about 10, 11. And then when I was 12, my brother, he got sent to juvie because he was also doing stupid stuff with his life, and he got sent to juvie, so I had to stay home and take care of my little brothers. And then I had one brother that he was like 2 or 3, and he got out of the window, and we lost him. we lost him, and they found him, but then CPS got involved. CPS took me and my brothers from my mom. My older brother was in jail. I was like, what, 12, 11? Yeah, I was about 12. So with the charge, right, whenever I got charged with that felony, the punishment was 24 hours community service and 1 year probation. The funny part about that, my brother and I, we both had the same probation officer, so we went to see the probation officer at the same time every Wednesday, and it was right across the street from our middle school. So you just leave the middle school and then you go see the probation officer. That's how I spent sixth grade. And nobody believed me in sixth grade that I was on probation. I was like, yeah, I have to go across the street to see my probation officer. And CPS took me and my brothers when I was about 12. We were in CPS custody for 6 months, and then my mom proved to the judge and to the court that CPS was abusing us. And so we got to go home. And they were. We were getting all kinds of diseases and sicknesses, and I was getting in more trouble in school. They moved me from a a school in a in a safe city, a school in a in a I don't want to be racist, but they moved me from a school in a white area, a white neighborhood school, right, where like everybody is kind of good, and there's no drugs. It's all average people. They moved me from that school to some school in South Dallas that there was all kinds of drugs. And later on in life, I found out that this school that they moved me to was the worst school that you can go to in South Dallas. It got shut down. They moved me from the school that I was going to the worst school that you can go to, and I got in so much trouble in sixth grade in that school because people hated me because I was white, and there was a lot of people that were not white, and so I was just hated by everyone. And I remember I was a troublemaker, and I remember telling someone I was gonna get the Klan on them, and I was, expelled and kicked out, and I've been suspended so many times in school. And then fast forward, I get to go home, and when I get home, I'm back with my mom, and my brothers are back home. Me and my brothers are back home. I'm about 13. I think I was 12 still, 12 or 13. Uh, I go back to church. Church was a tradition thing. You did it traditionally. You would go to church on Sunday. So my brothers did not go to church anymore, but I did, because to me it was just what you do. It was tradition to go to church on Sunday. Now living it was not tradition. I would go to church on Sunday, and then Monday to Friday, I might get picked up by the cops once or twice. That was the life. That was my life. Do stupid stuff Monday through Saturday, and then go to the church and pretend to be religious. I remember sitting down in the front pew of the service thing, and it was all the kids. I was in like a youth ministry type thing, and I sat down in the front pew, and somebody in the back was talking to me, and I turned around and said, "Hey, I'm trying to be religious. I'm trying to be religious. Stop talking to me. I want to listen to what the pastor says. I want to be religious." And they laughed and they said, "You religious? Yeah, right. There's no way." You, Keith, there's no way you're gonna be religious. You're the last one on earth to be religious. Yeah, I was far from Christian. On Sunday, I was, oh, I want to be, this Jesus freak. And then Monday through Friday, who's Jesus? I'm gonna go live my life, have fun. I don't care if I get stopped by the cops. That was my life. One day, I was about 13, 14, and I decided there is no God. I decided if there is a God, he doesn't want nothing to do with me. But I mean, there's all these billions of people on earth. I I doubt that there's a God. And so I stopped going to church. I was about 13, 14. Now the interesting thing though, right? Remember I tell you Christians kept on popping up in my life. When I was 12 and I began going to church again, I'm an introvert. So I sat down at some table by myself and I just kind of, just kept to myself. And I was 12. I was looking at my Bible, and I remember talking to Jake and telling him I was going to be a pastor one day. And I thought if I'm going to be a pastor, I need to read this. And so I did not like reading. I I struggled reading and writing and spelling because I was always getting in trouble in school. And I was born with my cleft palate and problem with my jaw and all this mouth problems, and so speaking is not a gift for me. And so and then getting in trouble with the cops and getting in trouble at school. Education was behind me, right? So I did not learn as much, like the other kids. So I stumble when I read and when I write. And you'll see that when I preach. You're like, this dude has a degree, but he's struggling to read. And it's because of my background. I didn't care about my education growing up. I was just, thanks for watching this video and this message. This website right here, patreon.com/grow your faith. If you wish to support the ministry financially, then you can do that. The money will go towards planting a local church that will be targeting young people in Northwest Wisconsin. So Northwest Wisconsin, most of the churches, it's just people over the age of 55, and young people are everywhere. But I'm just one person. I have one income. I don't have unlimited resources, but I want to I want to reach young people for Christ. And I don't just want to reach young people for Christ. I believe God is calling me to do this. And so, like I said, if you want to join me in making that mission possible, $5 a month. And I'm working on creating a new Bible version. It's going to be called Grow Your Faith Bible. And if you become a Patreon, you'll get, access to that Bible version before everyone else as I complete the Bible version. But with that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video message, and God bless you. Have a great day. Growing up, I was just doing stupid stuff. But that day I sat here and I I looked at the Bible and I thought, if I'm going to be a pastor, I think I need to know what this book says. And since I did not like reading, I thought to myself, if I read the first sentence and I read the last sentence, then I think I'll be good. I just have to know what the beginning says and the end says, and I'm good to go. I can be a pastor. I'm not even joking. That really did come to my mind. Like, oh, I'm just gonna read the first sentence and the last sentence and forget the rest of it. And I read the first sentence and it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters." And when I read that, I was like, I've read so many books, or I've started reading so many books. I never finished reading many books, but when I read this, I thought, wait a minute. It tells you how the world began? What? And it kind of sparked the interest in me, like, wow, I did not know that the Bible told you how the world began. And then I thought, I wonder how it ends. How does the world end? And so I turned to the very last page of the Bible. So that I wanted to know, how does the story end? I get to the last page of the Bible and I see the words Jesus is coming, and I read about it, and as I read that there's a second coming of Jesus, I never heard that before. All my life I've been told, up to that point, all my life I was told, that, we're sinners. Adam and Eve was created. They fell to sin. Jesus came, lived a life that we couldn't live. Then he died a death that we couldn't die. And if we believe in him, we get to go to heaven. That was the message. That's all I ever knew. And it did not make any sense to me. Because you get to the point Jesus died and he lived a life we can't live. And I was like, there's a disconnect. I'm like, wait a minute, what? He died? He came here and died? Like, he willfully just, like, steps down from heaven and is like, hey, crucify me. It made no sense to me. So I was like, Jesus is like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. But when I read that he was coming back again, then I started thinking, I want to know everything now, but I don't want to read all this. But I was so interested. I wanted to know how he was going to come back. How does the story play out? And so I started reading the Bible when I was 12. And then I came to the conclusion there is no God. And Jesus is like the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus that you just tell kids that, hey, if you're good, then, you get presents underneath the tree. And if there was a God, then he doesn't want nothing to do with me. There's billions of people in the world. And there had to be trillions of people to ever exist. So what would God want to do with me? He doesn't know my name. There's no way. So I stopped going to church. But I did not stop reading the Bible. And the reason for it is because it interests me so much. I just wanted to know how the story ends. I wanted to know everything about the second coming of Christ. I wanted to know every little thing about. I just wanted to know what it all says. It had nothing to do with, oh, I'm a Christian. I want to be like Christ. It had nothing to do with that. I just wanted to know how the story plays out. It was just a book to me. I just started reading it because it's just another book. And one day, when I was 16, it was a Sunday morning, and I heard someone say, "Get up and go to church." I got up, I looked around the house. I saw no one. No one inside that house. And I was confused because I would hear voices. I never could make out what any of the voices were actually saying, but this voice, this time I could hear exactly what the voice was saying. There wasn't many voices, there was just one voice. And I could just hear this voice say, "Get up and go to church." I got up, looked around the house, didn't see anyone, and I thought to myself, maybe I'm just hearing voices again. So I lay down, and I hear the voice again say, "Get up and go to church." I got up and I walked 3 miles to church, to the church that I was going to, because the bus didn't come no more, because I stopped going. So I started walking 3 miles to church every Sunday. And one Sunday night, I was cleaning the dishes. I was thinking about everything the pastor's been preaching about this all. Give your all to God. He'll do something with you. And one day I was washing the dishes. I was thinking about everything. And I thought to myself, I'm a good person. I haven't done that many bad things in life. Surely I can stand before God and weigh out all my good deeds and my bad deeds, and hopefully I do enough good deeds and less bad deeds and kind of weigh the scales for God. But then I thought to myself, but if God is holy and he has never sinned and he's pure, then how can I ever stand before him? Even if I do a little small sin, like steal a cookie from a cookie jar in my mom's, bedroom. My mom has cookies inside a cookie jar and I steal one. And that makes me a thief. Even if I commit that small little sin, it makes me a thief. I'm a sinner. It makes me unpure. How can I stand before God and be unpure if he is completely pure? If he is holy and I am unholy, how can I stand before God justified? And I thought to myself, either Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins and for the sins of the world to save us and make us holy so we can stand before God, or there is absolutely no hope for mankind, for anyone. So either Jesus died on the cross or there is no hope for anyone. And so that night, I went to my room, I got on my knees, I bowed down, I prayed. And my prayer was, "Dear God, I don't know if you're even real, but if you are real, I will give you my life. Not 99.9% of my life. I will give you 100% of my life. Wherever you tell me to go, and whatever you tell me to do, I will go and I will do. And at that moment, I felt something cover me. It felt like a blanket covering my head and covering my whole body. And then I heard God speak to me again and say, go preach this gospel, table to table, in your lunchroom at school. And so the next day, I was in the school lunchroom. I was looking at all the tables, thinking I'm going to go table to table. Then my friend came over, Raphael, and I told Raphael what I was about to do. And he said, can I go with you? He said, can I go with you? I said, yes, you can go with me. It would make me more comfortable. I didn't tell him that, but I was like, yeah, you can go with me. And I thought to myself, did Jesus send two people out 2 by 2? His disciples out 2 by 2? I found out later on Raphael was the son of a pastor. He was actually, the next day we went out, he was scared to go, but I was like, I have to obey God. And so I went, and then he joined later on and he got more comfortable doing it. And then that first month, 50 people came to Christ inside that cafeteria. 50 people accepted Christ as the Lord and Savior. And then God revealed himself to me through signs and miracles and wonders all throughout high school. From this one lady, she had arthritis, and I laid my hands on her, and I said, in the name of Jesus, I command the arthritis and all the pain to go away. And I watched this lady, she went from crying at the top of her lungs to not crying no more. And she started speaking Spanish, and then she told the other people, hey, yeah, all the pain's gone. And then this other guy told me in math class, he said, Keith, prove to me your God exists. Or put your Bible back in your backpack and stop talking about Jesus. And I said, this is my proof that my God exists. See outside how it's sunny? It's going to get real dark right now in about 10 seconds. It's going to get dark. And it's just going to start pouring down rain. And then 10 seconds later, the rain's going to go away. The sun's going to come back out. And then that's going to be my proof to you that my God exists. And he started laughing at me in my face. The guy next to him started laughing. The people in the room started laughing. And within 10 seconds, it got dark outside. It started pouring down rain. 10 seconds later, the sun came back out. And that dude never told me anything ever again. Other than I can't have a Bible because my dad will beat me if he sees me with a Bible. He told me that, but I'm guessing he became a Christian. I'm guessing he died for the faith too, because he just kind of disappeared, fell off the face of the earth. His name was Abhishek. He was a Hindu. He either got killed for the faith or he became a missionary, but he just kind of disappeared. He fell off the face of the earth. Don't know what happened to him. But then another time, the Gideons were passing out Bibles outside my school, and God told me, hey, go and pick up all the Bibles that the students are throwing down on the ground, because they would get the Bible from the Gideons and throw them in the ground. And so I went around, picked up all the Bibles, and God spoke to me and said, Keith, look inside the bush. There's a Bible. And I looked inside the bush, and there was a Bible. I'm not even joking. There was a Bible, and it wasn't a Bible the Gideons were giving away. It was just a regular Bible, like someone's study Bible. It was weird. And then God told me, look inside the trash can. There's another Bible. I looked inside the trash can. There's another Bible. It wasn't one of the Bibles the Gideons were giving away. They were giving away the New Testament Bibles, but I was finding like whole Bibles inside the trash can in the bush. That was a weird experience. I was like hearing the voice of God perfectly, and uh, and that was just crazy experience I had. And then the ministry online, it started because I met someone that lived in New Jersey online, and it was a woman, and we started dating, and she knew how to make websites, and she helped me get the ministry going online. And that's how this whole ministry online started happening. And then I met someone else that lived in the same area that I lived in Texas, that knew someone in New Zealand, and the guy in New Zealand knew how the search engines operated and how you can get people to come to your website. And so he helped me do that, and then I just kind of had this team of people around the world helping me in the very beginning stages of the ministry build an online ministry platform. It was the craziest thing ever. The craziest thing ever. And then I grew up Baptist. Baptists don't believe that you can lay your hands on people and they can be healed. Baptists don't believe that God will speak to you in dreams. Baptists don't believe in a lot of the spiritual gift stuff. And so because of that and because of what I was experiencing, I left the Baptist church. Because to me, at the time, I was just thinking, well, you say that this no longer happens, but I'm telling you, I have dreams that come true. I laid my hands on a woman and she was healed of arthritis. I prophesied and it started raining. Like these things we see in the Bible. But the problem is that I feel like as Christians we get stuck in this like mindset like, oh well, those are the things in the Bible. We have to come to Christ with a childlike faith. And I was a child and I came to him like a childlike faith. And I was experiencing God in these supernatural ways. And sadly, I don't experience God as much in those same supernatural ways nowadays because I'm older and I'm smarter and I got this more knowledge and it's easy for me to doubt. It's easy to doubt nowadays because it's kind of hard for an adult when you're 30 to have a faith of a 7-year-old, you know, because you understand, the law of physics and science and all these things. But we need to, as Christians, learn how to have a childlike faith, which is because I'm telling you, we can do some crazy stuff if we activate the spirit, but it can only be activated with childlike faith. So that was the beginning stages of my ministry. I went from getting in trouble with the cops for doing, you know, criminal activity to now I'm being pulled into the office at school because I'm preaching Jesus. So which one is it? You want me to preach Jesus or you want me to do criminal activity and so I was still getting in trouble in school, but this time I was getting in trouble for preaching Jesus. I got pulled into the office in 10th grade and I had all these principals at the table and they said, Keith, why are you preaching Jesus in the classroom, in the hallways, in the school lunchroom, all these things? You need to stop. And I told them, I, I, I told them exactly this. I said, I am who I am. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to preach the gospel to the ends of the earth. I told that to the teachers. I don't know why I said that. It was the craziest experience that I said it like that because at that moment when I was being questioned, the words "I am who I am" just kind of naturally came out of my mouth. And there is a passage in the Bible where Jesus says, on that day when you're being poured into the synagogues and into the courtrooms and you're being questioned about why you're preaching the gospel, God himself is going to speak through you. And I got to experience that, and I thought that was pretty cool. It just came out of my mouth. I am who I am. You're not going to stop me. Coolest experience ever. And I never got pulled back into the office after that. And at the end of the year, I got a reward for integrity out of all 300 students in my class. They said, of all the 300 students in my class, Keith is the one that's going to get this reward for integrity. And they said that I do the right thing even when nobody's looking. That I'm going to hold to my beliefs. That's what they said of me. Like the passage says in 1 Corinthians 5:17, behold, the old life has passed away and the new life has come. God gave me a new life. I did not come from a Christian background. I grew up going to church, but none of it made sense to me. But one day, God revealed himself to me and called me and changed my life. And that's just the beginning stages of the ministry. There's so much more that I can say, and I'll come out with another video with that. With that being said, God bless you, and see you again in a few days.